Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, checking your bank app, and boom, you see exactly twice as much money sitting in your account. Sounds incredible, right? I mean, we're all pretty much convinced that a sudden injection of cash would just magically solve all our financial problems. But it turns out the real obstacle to building wealth actually isn't your salary. It's not the job market, and it's not even the economy. The truth? It's actually hidden right inside our own heads.
See, the reality is that your brain is basically acting as your ultimate financial saboteur. Every single day, your mind is quietly pulling the strings on hundreds of tiny decisions, and it's constantly prioritizing what feels incredibly good right now over what will actually benefit you, say, 10 years down the line. We beat ourselves up all the time, right? We think we're just lazy with our budgets. But as we're going to uncover in this explainer, you're actually fighting a daily uphill battle against your own biology.
So let's start by looking at this concept of ancient brains and modern money, because it is a massive evolutionary mismatch.
Think about it. Thousands of years ago, out on the savannah, there were absolutely no savings accounts or 401ks. If you found food, well, you ate it immediately because there was zero guarantee you'd even find another meal tomorrow. That intense, primal survival instinct to just consume the reward instantly, that is still deeply hardwired into our skulls. But today, we've taken that ancient eat-it-now brain and just dropped it into a modern world filled with one-click payments and endless flash sales. So those exact same survival instincts are now actively working against us every single time we pick up our phones.
Which brings us right into the dopamine spending cycle and the fascinating science of anticipation.
Psychologists actually call this hedonic adaptation. And here is the crazy part. Scientists have found that dopamine isn't really the pleasure chemical we always thought it was. It's actually all about the anticipation. So as you're browsing an online store, your brain is already giving you the reward. Hitting that buy now button feels amazing. But here's the catch. Once that package actually shows up at your door, the excitement fades incredibly fast. You adapt to the new item, it just becomes ordinary, and your brain immediately starts craving the next purchase, just to recreate that exact same high. It's literally a cycle.
Let's put that into perspective with everyday choices. When you drop 1,000 rupees on a shiny new gadget, it's instant fireworks in your brain, absolute immediate joy. But what happens when you transfer that same 1,000 rupees over to a savings account? Well, it's quiet. It's invisible. A little number on a screen just changes slightly. Your brain doesn't give you that dopamine surge because the reward is locked away way off in the distant future. From a purely evolutionary standpoint, spending just feels like the better, safer deal today.
Now, let's switch gears and look at these psychological tricks retailers use to completely bypass your logical brain.
You've probably heard of the famous marshmallow experiment, right? The one where kids were offered 1 marshmallow right now, or 2 if they could just wait a few minutes. That is instant gratification in a nutshell. And marketers know this inside and out. They know that if they can trigger your emotional brain fast enough, your logical brain simply will not have time to hit the brakes. Those countdown timers, the low stock warnings, the free shipping minimums, none of that is there for your convenience. They are literally engineered to reduce your thinking time. Your emotional brain screams, yes, and your logical brain only shows up a few minutes later, frantically making up a story like, well, I really needed a new jacket anyway, just to justify what you just did.
And honestly, the whole retail system knows exactly when we are most vulnerable, and that is thanks to decision fatigue. See, your brain only has a limited battery of mental energy every single day. Every little choice you make, what to wear, how to answer an annoying email, it drains that battery. So by the evening, your self-control is completely shot. This is exactly why so many of us make those terrible impulse buys while scrolling in bed late at night. Or why supermarkets put all the candy and snacks right at the checkout lane. After making dozens of choices in the aisles, your brain is just exhausted and completely ready to surrender to a quick sugar rush.
Retailers also mess with how we physically process numbers. Take a look at this, the $9.99 price tag. The actual difference here is literally 1 single rupee compared to 1,000 rupees, and yet it feels drastically cheaper. Why is that? Well, it's a mental glitch called left digit bias. Because we read from left to right, our brains anchor super heavily on that very first digit. Seeing a 9 instead of a 10 creates this powerful split-second illusion that you're getting an absolute bargain.
Then, oh man, there is the ultimate modern trap, the subscription model. Paying 2,388 rupees once a year feels like a massive commitment, doesn't it? It triggers a literal pain response in your brain. But paying $199 a month, that feels basically painless. It just slips right past your emotional defenses. These small, recurring payments quietly drain your income month after month, specifically because they're designed to avoid triggering your brain's financial alarm system.
Okay, so those are the tricks used on us. But what about the hidden biases that are quietly destroying our wealth?
Let's look at these invisible mental traps.
Behavioral economists have documented a massive trap called loss aversion. Imagine you're walking down the street and you find a crisp 1,000-rupee note. You'd be pretty thrilled, right? But now imagine reaching into your pocket and realizing you just lost that exact same note. The emotional pain of that loss is scientifically proven to feel far, far more intense than the joy of finding it. This invisible bias is exactly why investors panic. When the stock market takes a dip, the pain of losing money feels so overwhelmingly unbearable that people sell at the absolute worst possible time, turning what was just a temporary dip into a permanent loss.
Next up is a sneaky little mental shortcut called anchoring. Imagine walking into a store and seeing a jacket priced at 5,000 rupees. You might instantly think, that's a bit expensive. But if you walk in and see that exact same jacket marked at 10,000 and it has a big red sticker saying it's heavily discounted down to 5,000, suddenly your brain tells you it's an incredible steal. Your mind relies so heavily on that arbitrary first number, the anchor, that it completely warps your judgment of what the item is actually worth.
And then we have the ultimate combo, social proof mixed with lifestyle inflation. Historically, humans survived by basically copying the group. But today, copying the group means scrolling through social media, which is literally just a financial highlight reel. You see the luxury vacations, the nice cars, but you don't see the crushing credit card debt funding it all. This constant pressure to keep up means that the second you finally get a raise at work, you instantly upgrade your apartment or buy the newest phone. Your spending just grows right alongside your income. You might feel like you're earning way more, but true wealth only actually grows when your spending increases at a slower rate than your income.
Which brings us to a trap that catches literally almost everyone, the sunk cost fallacy. Have you ever sat through a completely terrible movie just because you already paid for the ticket? Or maybe you kept pouring money into a broken-down car because you'd already spent so much trying to fix it. Yeah, that is your brain completely obsessing over unrecoverable past money. The smartest financial minds train themselves to totally ignore what's already lost, and instead they just ask one simple question: what is the smartest decision from this exact point forward?
All right, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk about how to actually outsmart yourself and hack your own financial biology.
Here is the truly empowering news. Your brain isn't permanently stuck like this. Thanks to a pretty amazing scientific concept called neuroplasticity, you can quite literally rewire your mind. Every single time you pause for just 10 seconds before making an impulse buy, or you choose to transfer money to savings instead of your shopping cart, you are actively strengthening a brand new neural pathway. Now, at first, it's going to feel incredibly difficult because remember, you are fighting thousands of years of human evolution. But through repetition, those new pathways get stronger, and eventually, making the smart financial choice actually becomes completely automatic.
But you know what the absolute best way to win is? Don't even try to rely on willpower at all. The most successful savers use what's called the automation strategy. They understand decision fatigue, and they know full well their willpower is going to fail them by 8 p.m. anyway. So they just remove the temptation entirely. The exact moment their paycheck hits their account, an automated transfer immediately moves their savings into a completely separate account. They physically change their environment so they don't even have the chance to make a bad emotional choice. By automating the whole process, they make the absolute smartest financial choice the easiest one.
So, throughout this explainer, we've seen exactly how your ancient brain views modern money. We've seen how marketers exploit your dopamine cycle, and we've unpacked the hidden biases that trick you into spending. Building wealth really isn't about being some math genius. It's about deeply understanding your own psychology so you can finally stop fighting yourself. So, knowing everything we've just uncovered today, what system are you going to build today to outsmart your ancient brain?